let me start with the use case, and then we will build our solution. So scenario is, let's say this is your Salesforce organization, and there is an object, and whenever there is a change in object, a record is being updated into this object, we need to capture those changes and make those changes available outside of the Salesforce, outside of Salesforce. Okay, and this can be make these changes available into a Kafka topic, for example, Kafka topic, and this Kafka cluster may be residing inside your premises, or it's on the cloud, whatever the scenario is. Okay, so we can then use or consume this Kafka topic for our database update, or there is another process out which is interested in these updates, so they can consume it for their own purpose, or for their own needs. Okay. Now, if you take a look into this use case, what I'm thinking is, let's divide the solution into the two parts. One part is what we can do in the Salesforce, and second is what we can do outside of the Salesforce to fulfill this use case requirements. So the development, from the development perspective, of course we need to do some development inside the Salesforce, and we need to do some development outside of the Salesforce, and then we need to mingle these two development together to fulfill the requirement that I have outlined into this use case. So let's start with the Salesforce. So as you know, what is our requirement? Our requirement is, I have an object in Salesforce, and whenever there is a record updates into this in this object, a record is updated in this object, I need to capture those updates, and I'm not interested in the full object or full record. Like suppose this object may be custom object or system object, and there are 20 fields. I'm not interested in that. My intention is, I'm interested in only in some specific field. Let's say out of 20, I'm just interested into 5 fields or 10 fields or whatever it is. Okay, so like I'm not interested in the full record. I'm interested in a very specific set of fields from that object record that I'm interested in, and I want to basically those 5 fields or 10 fields available outside of Salesforce, so that for my own consumption. Okay, now for this purpose there are various solutions available in Salesforce. Right now I'm talking about the Salesforce, by the way, guys. Okay, there are various solutions available in Salesforce, but I am interested in demonstrating a very useful solution that I have, that in my opinion is very useful, and it's very easy to implement also. We don't need to write very complex code. It's very easy to implement, and very flexible and very scalable also, and that is platform event. Okay, that is platform event. So I am going to use platform event to implement my solution. And as you guys know, if you guys don't know about platform event, so let me give you very high level overview about platform. So what is platform event? I will walk you through the Salesforce code, so just bear with me. Let's first let's build a high level understanding on the platform event, so it will be easy for us to understand it when we will do the real coding. So the way the let's first talk about what is platform event. So you can think of the platform event is there is a event type 1, event type 2, and so on and so forth. Okay, and these are events, basically this is the type of events. So whenever an instance is created of event type 1, it get published onto within the Salesforce known as message bus. Similarly for event 2 and so forth and so forth. Okay, so suppose you have an event type of type 1, and when you create an instance of this event type 1, you publish it. What it means is, suppose you have a event that has 4 fields, field 1, 2, 3, 4. You create the instance of event type 1, you populate the values into these 4 fields, and you publish it. So the moment you publish it, that published event data or record is available into the message bus. And this message bus is Salesforce implementation, so we don't need to worry about anything at this end. All we need to worry about is build this event type, find a way to publish the event type 1 or event type onto the message bus, and that's it, and Salesforce will take care of this one. Now one thing that you need to remember for this platform event, also in my opinion, like event type, platform event is life of a record of an event in the message bus is only 24 hours. So just keep this thing in mind. Okay, so when you publish an event onto the message bus, life of that event onto the message bus is only 24 hours. It cannot go beyond 24 hours, and Salesforce will systematically drain all the events which pass the life more than 24 hours. So it's Salesforce which is taking care of it behind the scene. So we don't need to worry about draining this message bus. Salesforce is taking care of it. So that's another reason for me to use the platform event. Okay, now how this thing works basically is, let me go to the next page. How this thing works is very at the very higher level. First, you will create a platform event. Okay, the way you create the object, and we will take a look into the demo in more detail about it. First, you will create a platform event. Then number 2, you will find, or you need to develop something within the Salesforce to create the instance of this event. Create instance of event. What it means is, you will create the instance, populate the fields, and so on and so forth, and then you will publish it. Then you will publish it. Now creating the platform event, it's as simple as creating the new object, and I will show you into the demo. Creating the instance of the event, and this is where we have to do these 2 areas. This is where we have to do some little bit programming, not very complex, and for the demo purpose or for this use case, I am going to give you a very simple use case, and you will see that it is so simple that you can extend it to very complex solution also. So first thing first, you will create an event, then you have to create the instance of the event, and that's where the trick happens. So now suppose you have an event, you define the event, then how you will basically create and publish the event, correct? So our requirement is I have an object, correct, and whenever there is a change in a record in this object, I want to publish this event, though I want to publish the changes through this event onto my message bus. That's what my requirement is. So my obvious choice to capture the changes in the object is trigger, correct. So I have, this is the very simplest, this is the very, in my opinion, this is the simplest area where we can capture the, or we can basically, we can know what is being changed, correct, like a changing, look into the trigger, correct, look for the, whenever there is a change is happening, trigger get created. So of course in this my use case, let's talk about after update trigger. Correct, after update trigger, because see, our requirement is object, record is changing, I need to publish those changes through the event. So my obvious choice is to start with this. I have defined the event. Now in the object side, I should use, or the simplest solution is to use the trigger, because in the trigger we have both the values, old values as well as the new values, correct. And since this is the after the fact, because we want to publish to the rest of the world once the updates are successful, so that's the best place to do it after update trigger, because if you do before inside, if something goes wrong and all, it does not make any sense, correct. So we don't want to publish something to the outside world if we are not able to save it successfully within the Salesforce. Correct, like there may be, like this object may have some other requirement, we don't know about it, we are just talking about a very simple use case. So in this use case, we are assuming that whatever this object update happen on this object record, all the intricacies related to this object within the Salesforce domain is successfully completed. Now once that part is successfully completed, only after that this updated record need to be published to outside of the Salesforce. That's whatever you can make it little bit more complex in that regard, or simplified our requirement, because we don't want to send something outside the world if it is not successfully get updated inside within the Salesforce. So now my mechanism over here is I am thinking of using a trigger. Now in trigger I am thinking of creating how we are going to link the trigger to the event. That's another thing, correct. Like now I identified, okay, after update trigger is the place where should I do some coding to invoke my event, Now what should I, like in a systematic clean approach, what I am thinking is this after update trigger should invoke a class apex class object, and that apex class should create instance of my event, populate value of fields in event, and then publish it. Make sense? Okay, so in summary, first we will create a platform event. Then we will create an apex class. This apex class will instantiate event and publish it. Third, we will call or initiate this apex class from object after update trigger. Okay, let me take you to my Salesforce organization and give you a little bit more detail from within Salesforce, so it will help you understand a little bit more about this use case. Okay, so let's go to my Salesforce organization. Okay, now sorry guys, this is very this is, you can think of it as a scratchpad application, let me put it this way. And take an example. For an example, suppose I have a student object. So this is my student object over here, and my requirement is, we can pick any of this. So whenever there is a change in email address, my outside of the Salesforce world need to know, so they can then proceed it accordingly. So when I make a changes into the email address, I need to publish the updated record to outside world, outside of the Salesforce. So outside of the Salesforce, whatever it is your data warehouse can be updated accordingly, or you have another process outside of the Salesforce which need this information, so they can proceed accordingly, and so on and so forth. And in our use case, remember we talked about it, we will be publishing these updates onto a Kafka topic, so that way anyone who are interested in these updates can consume those Kafka topic. So we don't need to build point-to-point implementation. Okay, so we are decoupling it more precisely. So I have this student object. Okay, I have this student object that requirement is, whenever there is a change, we are making change into this is email address onto this student object record, then we need to make those changes, and available to rest of the world. And for that one, we will be using the platform event. Now that being said, let me go to the setup. Let's look for the platform event. Here you go. Now I could have developed the things from scratch, but I'm trying to avoid that one to keep this video short. So when you come over here in the platform event, first thing you need to create the platform event. You will click on the new platform event. You will define your label, plural, same thing. You can define something over here. You can define it's deployed because it's a development environment, free stuff. So basically, I'm just keeping it as a deployed. Otherwise, I can keep it as in development. In your enterprise organization, it's best practice to do the things in development. So you will define the platform event, and once you will define your event, let me edit it. You will be seeing something like this. Okay, so you will be seeing something like this. Now next you will do is, let me go back. Sorry guys. Yes. So once you click on that hyperlink, then you will come over here. Now if you take a look into this platform event, it looks close to the object. Right? Like what they have done over here is detail about this platform event. They are talking about API name and the details are over here. There are the standard field over here. This you cannot change it. And when you will be creating the platform event first time, you will not see anything onto the custom field and relationship. Just remember one thing. Okay, just remember one thing. You will not able to see anything over here. Okay, and then we'll talk about it a little bit later. Okay, so over here you need to create the fields. You need to create. Okay, so as I said, when you will creating the platform even first time, when you come over here back, you will not see any custom field and relationship. This section will be empty. So you need to create the fields that you would like to be part of the platform event. Whatever you want to publish it in the event, those fields you need to populate it over here. In my use case, I'm making it very simple. So I have just put together, say, okay, I have a field called student ID that I will populate from the student record for the updated student record, and I will basically going to capture the student name, and that is available into my updated student record. And I can add more fields over here. It's not something that it's you can add more field over here if needed. It's not a problem. Now for this trigger and subscription, just for the time being, just ignore it. You will not see them when you are creating the platform event very first time. These two sections will be empty for you, and I will come to that one shortly. Okay, so you created the event, you defined the event, you put together the custom field, the field that you want to exposed through this event. And it's not necessary this field has to be the object field that you are basically thinking of, like a student. Nothing, it can be anything new. Like, it's your requirement, it's your implementation. You can basically come up with some custom field. You have some business logic that you would like to let the outsider world know. By the way, student field, student record, email address has been updated, and these are the details, something like that, right? I'm just making up things over here, guys. Okay, so you create the platform event. First thing first, you created the platform event. You define the custom field over here. Click on new. You will create the custom field over here, and then and that's it. Basically, platform event, you have completed the platform event part. Okay, so we have completed the platform events, correct? Like, so this is an exercise that you guys need to do. Create the platform event. Now if I go back to my flow, so we have completed this part, correct? Like, we have created the platform event. Now let's talk about creating the Apex class that will instantiate the event and publish it, and the after update trigger, what we need to put into the after update trigger to instantiate this Apex class. Okay, so let's go back and take a look into Apex class that will instantiate the trigger event, and publish it, and then we'll take a look into the event, after update event on the student object, and see what we need to do to instantiate this class. So let's go back to our Salesforce organization, click on this developer console. Hopefully, let's see what it has. This is my junk, so just let me close it and let me open two things. So let me open first my class trigger handler, open it, and let me also open the trigger so it will be easy. Okay, so these two things will be easy to understand side by side. Okay, So remember we talked about it from student update trigger. What it is? It is a trigger after update trigger on my student object. And by the way, my student object is a custom object, guys. It's not like standard object. It's to keep things simple, just for this purpose, for this use case demonstration purpose, I'm keeping the things very simple. Okay, so my student object is my custom object, and this is a after update trigger on my student object. And if you take a look into this one, I am calling a static method updated student of this class, student trigger handler, and this is nothing but a apex class, and I am passing the list of my new records, and I am passing the map object of my old records. Correct? These are there is a one-to-one relationship over here. Okay, so this is my apex class, and I'm calling it its updated student static method, and in that I am passing the new list, newly updated record list, and corresponding to that there will be old record also. Correct? So for the old record I am passing them as a map object. Now let's take a look into this student trigger handler apex class. Very simple, nothing, no complexity. It's just for the demonstration purpose, and you can put a business your logic based on your need, and it's very straightforward and simple. So in this my student trigger handler class, what I have done over here is I have put together a one static method over here. See, you can see static updated student, and it is a list object. It is a list. There are two parameters over here: list containing the new students, old students. I am putting them as a map object, where I have old student records, and their ID is a map ID value pair. Correct? Now over here, if you take a look into this one, pay close attention to this one. I have created a new list of type my event, student change notification event. This is my event. Remember we defined this event over here. This is my event, platform event. So what I have done over here is I have created a list of the events. Okay, list. I'm creating a new list of that platform event. This is what it means. Now I am, because requirement is whenever there is a change in the email address, old versus new or not same, then I would like to notify outside of the Salesforce and providing the name, student ID and name, stating that their email address has been changed. And I can basically put the email address also over here, or I can put more field into my platform event. But that's not the case. We want to keep it very simple, so that's why we are going with this simple route. Okay, so now in this Apex class, what I am doing over here is I am creating a list of my platform event that I had created. Correct? Now I am going through the for loop for the new students and comparing their email address with their old record email address, and if they are not same, then I am adding. See over here, this is my list. This is my list, and I am creating a new event of type this and populating these two fields. It is you can think of it as a behind the scene, Salesforce is creating a constructor, and that constructor has all the custom field. There is a constructor created behind the scene by Salesforce for this event, and it is accepting all the custom fields. If I Let me go back over here, see these two, and I haven't done any coding over there, correct? Like we just created the platform, defined the events, platform event, defined the custom fields that we would like to publish along with the standard field. And what we are doing over here is in this screen, in this Apex classes, we are just creating the instance of our platform event. And by the way, Salesforce already created a, a constructor class, a constructor method which contains all the custom fields, and we are just populating those fields and we are adding that into our list. This is the list that we are creating it. See, take a look into over here, that's it. And what we have done over here, once we completed traverse through all the updated records, we populate this field, and at the end what we are doing is event bus.publish updated students. That's it. That's all we need to do. So in this we have published all the events in one shot. So list basically, like you can publish a single event or you can publish multiple multiple events. Nothing, you don't need to worry about it. Salesforce is taking care of it behind the scene. All you have to do is event bus.publish, and you have to just publish the event instance that you have created. That's it. Okay. So have you guys seen that it's so simple, correct? All I had then created, I created a platform event on my object on which I am planning to create the their updated record notification or event. I am just instantiating that object that I put together a class, and in that class I am calling that static method of that class from my after update trigger, passing the new value as well as old value. And in that class itself I am traversing through the changes and looking for the changes that I am interested in. In this case I am just interested into my events, my records where the emails address has been updated, and I am just notifying the rest of the world, by the way, this is the student ID and this is the student name, and the event has been changed. Email address has been changed. I'm making it very simple and straightforward, guys. Okay, so far so good. Now let's go back to our process. So we created the Apex class. We know how to instantiate the event and publish it into the event bus, and we have called the static method from the after update trigger. So that part is done. Now the question becomes how we will validate this whole thing is working. Correct? Like first, before we go to the outside world and consume this event, we should have a mechanism, or we should have a way to make sure that this whatever we have put together is working. And by the way, one important thing, guys, that I want to highlight over here, this event bus, the data that you are publishing is over here, is in the Java object format, or in the serialized, is it serialized? So you will not able to see this events on the Salesforce. Okay, so there should be a way to see what is being published. Correct? Like if we need to verify and see that event that I'm publishing, how will I make sure that like those events are even generating or not? Correct? So something like that. So for that, what I have done over here is, and that's where you will see some techie, some cheat sheet kind of thing, basically, like to making sure that things are working properly the way it is working. In Salesforce, event are also considered as an object. Just remember one thing: events, you can think of them as an object. They are at the end, they are object. Now if they are an object, then there should be trigger also. We should able to create the trigger also onto this event object, correct? If event that we had created into our program, correct? If event is an object, then we should able to create the trigger also onto this event, correct? So in order to understand what we are going to publish, let's verify that our event is working properly or not within the Salesforce. And it's not required. It's like in the real world, you will not do it. It's not required, because remember what I told you guys. Whenever the moment you publish an event onto the event bus, the life of that event is 24 hours. That event will reside into the event bus for 24 hours, and after that it will disappear, or it will drain out by Salesforce. Okay, so in order to verify that this our event is working, I have done some cheat sheet work kind of thing basically. Okay, so let me take you back to this one. Now what I have done is, let's talk about one object in particular, and then we'll go from there. Oh, where is my debug demo log? Okay, so let's take a look into this object demo log. Very simple custom object, nothing special into this one. What I have done is, I just created a custom object called demo log, and this custom object I have put together two fields: event message, process name. These are the two fields that I have put together, correct? So it's very simple, nothing, no fancy, nothing at all, very simple object, and you guys don't need to create it, but I just created this one for the demonstration purpose, to make sure that, and to show you guys that yeah, things are working at least within the Salesforce, within the Salesforce domain. So in order to make sure things are working properly in the Salesforce, before we go outside of the Salesforce, I have created this kind of a checking kind of thing, and making sure that events are getting generated. So for that purpose, first of all, what I have done is, I have created this demo log object. You can give it any name, and if you can take a look into this one, very straightforward. In this demo log, I have a field called event message, and I will talk about this one. And by the way, this is a long text. Okay, this is a long text, and I put together another field called process name, and it is a text ID. And it's just, I was just playing around. My aim was to understand what kind of event message Salesforce is generating. Okay, I would like to see the event message completely before I go outside of the world Salesforce and start consuming that event. So that was my idea or intention. Okay, so first thing what I have done, basically I have put together a demo log object, and it is an event message, nothing fancy, event message. It is of log text, and this process name is just process name, nothing special over there. Okay, now let's go back to developer console, open and trigger. Let's take a look into this one. What is this student change notification event trigger? What is this? Remember, previously the trigger that you had seen was student update trigger. This was on the student object. Just remember one thing, guys. Okay, let me open this one. So okay, trigger that you was referring to previously was on the student object of our interest. Just remember one thing, object of our interest, and we were focusing on the after update, because I don't want to send the notification outside of the Salesforce If things does not go well, I'm saying, okay, once I'm done, updates are done, everything is done in Salesforce, let notify rest of the world whatever I want to notify. And for that purpose, in our use case, we would like to notify people or rest of the world the student ID and student name. We had created this public class and we are calling this update trigger student static method from that one. But now, in order to validate things are working properly on this trigger, what I have done is, remember we talked about it, we said, okay, event trigger is nothing but platform triggers are nothing but the object, and you can define the trigger on that one. So in a nutshell, event is nothing but an object, but with some like some caveat. So over here I have, because events, there is only one thing on the event, like on the event, what you are doing, you cannot update the event. You cannot make any changes. So only thing is available from the trigger perspective on the event is after insert. There is no before insert, there is no after update, there is no before update. Only trigger which is available on the platform event, because platform event, by the way, is an object, is after insert. Okay, and so what I have done, if you take a look into this, by the way, just now after insert trigger, nothing fancy over here. Remember, my demo log underscore C is my custom object, so I'm just creating a list of this object. Okay, I'm creating the list of that object, and I'm just traversing through the my insert records. Correct? My trigger basically, because this is after insert, that means all the time I will have the new records. So I'm traversing through the list of the newly inserted records, lack of a better word, into this after this notification event. Going through that one, I am creating the instances. You can see that new demo log, I'm creating the instances of my demo log class object, populating their name, process name, and the message. One thing that you need to pay attention over here is, this was my big text, correct? Like this was my big log text. Take a look into back over here. This is big long text area. This is my big long text. And what I have done over here is, remember, events are object. Correct? They are Java object. Now what we are doing is, we are serializing them. So we can read them as a string. Correct? Like as a string or English. Let me put it other way. Otherwise you will not able to read them at all. So what we are doing over here is, we are just serializing them and putting them into this big log text, so that way we can read it and evaluate it. And at the end, as usual, that we do all the time, how you basically like creating the instance of this new log, my demo log custom object, is not going to do anything unless until I will insert them. So over here I just calling insert and this list. That's it. So behind the scene, it will get added into my demo log underscore C custom object. So this mechanism, you don't need to do it. It's not required, but in order to validate whether this trigger is working or not, whether this trigger has produced the records or not, our logic is working or not, it is a good practice to do this kind of work. In that, especially in the development environment, and making sure that your workflow within the Salesforce is producing the event the way you are looking for. Okay, so let's see in action how our things are tied up into the Salesforce. So let me go back over here. Oh, let me open the application. Okay, so demo log, of course, is my existing object. You are seeing it, correct? Like all. So it has 3 records. Okay, now if all will go well, then and if I make a changes into a student record, I should see a new record into over here. So right now I have 3 records. Let me do one thing. Let me go to the student, all. Let me update Sumant Sharma. Let's change it to Sumant Sharma, whatever it is. Okay, so I am updating the email, and remember the way we have put together the logic is whenever there is a change in the email, we would like to notify rest of the world or outside of the Salesforce in our premises that, oh, by the way, this student name and whatever other information I have put over there is being changed. So that's some sort of notification. So let me save it. Record has been saved. Let's take a look into the demo log. All, number 4. Previously we have 3 records. Now we have a new record. Let's view this record. See, now this is what is being published by Salesforce. Okay, this is what is being published by the Salesforce. So let's do one thing. Why don't we copy this information and analyze it? So this is the payload kind of a thing. See, attitude, type, URL. So this is one segment, and attitude attributes are like this. Something like this. I have a student code created by, it's passing all the information. Remember, these are the fields, these are the standard fields. Okay. If you take a look into this one, these fields are the standard fields, and student ID and student name. These are the 2 custom fields that we had added into our platform event, and these are the standard fields. If you are interested, you can keep it. If you're not interested, you can basically, like in your downstream system, you can basically, you can transform, and before you publish it to the other like Kafka topic or on, you can basically chop them out, and basically you can say, okay, I'm just going to publish the student name, code, or whatever your implementation is. Okay, so this is how this event will be published to rest of the world, and we'll take a look into that one in more detail. Just bear with me, guys. Okay. So let's go back to our drawing board and see where are we in terms of our implementation. So where are we? We were, I think, yes, okay, yep. So we have completed this part, right? Like we have established that in Salesforce we created a platform event, we hook it to a Salesforce object. Salesforce object, whenever there is a change into the Salesforce object, based on our simple logic, we are publishing that event onto the event bus, and we have validated that events are getting published, because what we have done is, for the platform event, we put together a logic onto the after insert onto the platform event trigger, and we are capturing that one just for our validation purpose. We are capturing that one. We captured that one. Take a look into that one. We captured that one. Okay. We captured the after insert trigger, and we capturing that like what is being added into that event. We are capturing that one. We did the serialization, and we basically updated that into our view just custom object demo log, and we verified and confirmed that yes, it is getting created. Now, as part of the next level, question now is getting back to our picture. We have done the Salesforce part. Salesforce is publishing into message bus. Now we need to consume the event, a specific event. We are not interested in all the event. We are just interested in that particular event. The objective now is how we will consume the event published on this event bus, message bus outside of the Salesforce. Correct? And so for that purpose, let's use Mulesoft. Because I don't want to develop anything from scratch if something is already available. So that's why I will be using Mulesoft. And it will make our life simple, and you will see how easy it is to just consume this event outside of the Salesforce, and very simple. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me take you to the Mulesoft one now. Good. Okay, so I have already created a very simple Mulesoft project. I'm calling it Salesforce Platform Event Consumption. Okay, very simple, no fancy, and as we do all the time. First step is to making sure that this workflow is able to consume the event published by Salesforce on message bus, and we are interested in one particular event. Our event is that we had created over here. This one. What's the name? This name. This student change notification event. Okay. So our aim is to consume this event published onto the message bus or event bus. Now, very simple. You can create a new project, brand new project from scratch. I don't want to create again because I am assuming you guys already know how to create the Mulesoft project. I don't want to waste that time. Let's come straight to the point. So search for subscriber channel event. Salesforce subscriber channel listener. Okay, search for subscriber channel listener. Salesforce subscriber channel listener. Put that one over here in your workflow, in your flow. This is the first one. Simple. We are not doing anything fancy over here, but we need to configure it. How you want to configure it, and that configuration is little bit tricky, and it's not very complex either. So the moment you are going to put that one over here, you will be seeing a red flag all over the place, especially into the connector configuration. And we are keeping it very simple at this time, and down the road in other subsequent videos I will put together OAuth 2 implementation and other implementation, and we'll go from there. So we have to connect, correct? This is a connector, but it's not going to connect to the Salesforce unless until we provide all the necessary credential. So for this one, let's go and click on this one, add it, and you will be clicking on plus because that will be the first time you will coming on that one. So over here I have a, for the time being, let it take it out. Okay, so I have a basic authentication. That means I have a username and password. And let's talk about that security token. We need to provide this security token, and from where you will get that security token, which is important. Okay, so let me put this one over here back. Click on cancel. So let's first of all figure it out from where you will get that security token. So simple. Let's go back to our Salesforce setup, service setup. Key management. Okay, so let's first configure the connection, and it's very straightforward and simple. I'm just looking for the basic authentication. Hopefully it will open. Yes, good. Okay, so now in this one we are going through the basic authentication, and important thing that you need to remember is you will be providing your user ID, you will be providing your password and this security token. Now the question is from where you will get this security token. I'm changing it rapidly, so don't worry about this, guys. Let's find out from where you will get this security token. So for that you need to go back to Salesforce, okay, and look for certificate and key management. So the way you will come over here is setup. You will click on setup, and then you will look for key, certificate and key management. Okay, now over here this is master encryption key. Archive the current key and create the new key. You will click on that one, okay, and it will ask you, okay, are you sure, blah blah blah. When you click on this one you will get the new key, okay, and whatever that key is, then you need to put that key value over here, and then you do the test connection, making sure that things are good. Okay, connection successful. Okay, that means this basic authentication is working properly. And in next one, when I will time permit, I will go for the OAuth 2 or single sign-on. We will talk about that one in our subsequent channel or subsequent video. Okay, so let's cancel it over here. Come back over here. So in the subscriber channel listener, we need to connect to the Salesforce. For that one, we set up that configuration. The moment this connection will successful, you will be seeing streaming channel, and in my case already I have only one event that I had platform event, so that platform event name will show up over here. If it does not show up, that means something is not right. So far so good, guys. So very simple, this channel name, that means the platform event name should show up into this drop down list if your connection is successful. If it is not, that means you are in trouble. And since this is just a demo purpose and you can build on top of this foundation, and then you can go from there. Okay, now let's talk about the transfer message. Very simple, no fancy fancy thing. All I am doing it over here is, instead of getting everything, I'm just focusing on what I need. So when I say I'm focusing on what I need is, I'm just looking into the data payload part. I'm not interested in the outside boundary of the payload. So I'm just interested into that one because that's a need that we are looking for. And I'm just right now in this video, I am just storing this payload into the logger, so we can review it in making sure that whenever I am publishing making it changes into an object. My object is a student object. It is getting published on Salesforce, and my this workflow is listening to that or subscribe to that event, processing it and putting it into the logger. My next video will have logger will replaced with my Kafka topic, and we will use for that purpose we will use the Kafka connector. So let's do one thing. Why don't we start this project? It will take some time. Let's start it. Okay, so now our project, our Mulesoft flow is ready. You can see that it is ready, correct? It's ready. There is no issue at all. Everything looks clean. Our Mulesoft project is ready, and it is listening to our let it start. Container wrapping up, initializing. Things are working properly, guys, as of now. Testing. Good. Okay. Let's see. So let me do one thing, guys. Let me put a pause on this video until it starts, and then we will resume. Hopefully it will start soon. Not is starting. Yes, so it's deployed and it is ready. Okay, you guys can see, correct? It's up and running. Now what we will do, bear with me, guys. I don't like ID is not that great for this. Correct? So now it's deployed and it is ready. So let's do one thing. Let's go back to Salesforce, and let me first close my developer console. I'm not interested in that one, and let me go to my application. Okay, and let me click on the student, and let me this time make the changes into OJS, and let's change it to QCXC, whatever it is. Okay, so we made the changes into the email for OJS Sharma, and hopefully this change, OJS and its ID, will show up into our Mulesoft workflow, because that's what it is, correct? Like this change will notify the platform event, initiate the platform event, and that platform event will then publish into the event bus. Our Mulesoft project is subscribing to that particular topic. It should able to read that message. Right now, if you see over here, nothing in there, correct? So let's save it. Done. and if I come over here, boom, instantly, it's near real time, I'm able to get the data. See over here, because we transform the payload, so we are getting what we used to get over there. So Control C, review it with the what we have seen into the, remember debug log. So let's do one thing. So this is, let me get rid of this part because this was our demo purpose, correct? Like when we were looking into this one. Let me do one more thing. Let me go back to the demo log. Hopefully my demo log is still active. And my fifth one, this one, let me copy this also. So this is, remember, making sure that everything is working fine in the Salesforce. I created this demo log object and I'm populating it with the student change notification platform event after insert, correct? So event, so let's compare whether things are working properly or not. So attitude, sorry, not attitude, attribute. What we are getting versus, are we getting the same thing or we are getting not same thing? So let's take a look into this one. So this is what we had captured within the Salesforce. This is what we had captured within the Salesforce. Now this is what is coming out from the this is what our stuff is, correct? Payload. This is what we have. So over here, if you take a look into this one, we have this student ID. We have this created by, this is created date, student name, that's it, correct? So this was the whole, if you think of that one, this was we captured when we were in the Salesforce. We serialized the event and store them into the debug log objects as a record in a debug log object as an object record, and this is what we are getting. So this is attribute. So we are also getting the same thing, correct? Attribute ID, same number. See, you can see event ID is same. Okay, we are getting the channel. Channel is also same. Attributes. And if we take a look into this one, almost everything we are getting, correct? And attribute media type. So we are getting event UID. Of course, we are getting event UID. We are getting channel. Over here, we don't have channel. Correct? We have a media type. This is basically standard. Like when you're subscribing that, so that's why you're getting it. But the main meat is our this payload, and which is matching with what we are getting over here. See. Images and other stuff is also created by created date and so on and so on. Okay, so that's how you can capture the changes happening inside the Salesforce from outside. So very simple. Let me repeat one more time. In Salesforce, we had created an event, platform event. Then we registered that platform event, or we use that platform event. For that one, we created a class, Apex class, and we instantiate the or use that Apex class into the after update event into our student object trigger, and we then subscribe that event in our Mulesoft workflow through the subscribable channel listener, and we establish that we are receiving the updated event whenever the Salesforce is publishing it outside of the Salesforce. So now I am stopping this video over here, and in my next video we will extend this part. We will remove the logger, we will publish it into the Kafka topic, and then we will consume the Kafka topic into another flow. That will complete our whole workflow. Okay, and thank you very much guys for going through this video. If you find difficulty anywhere in this program, please send me a note onto the comment section, and if you have any other suggestion, please let me know also through the comment suggestion. And if you have any other workflow requirement where you want a simple like implementation like this, please let me know. I will try to put together the video. And once again, thank you for watching this video. Hope to see you guys soon.